go, Fritz.
The Bears are who we thought they were.
The Bears. The Bears.
I am the great Cornholio.
We'll see what happens.
Playoffs?
See, Sean McDonough, Jay Billis. Goats!
Can you play a song? Something cool. Put my mic on!
I'm calling both games.
Oh, baby!
Are you serious?
Goes down the field for Smith.
Oh, he got it!
Seattle. We're getting ready for Cincinnati.
Stuff like that. So, going into this week, my playoff and standings projections look a little bit like this. AFC North got the Bengals in first place, 11-6. Ravens in second, 10-7. Steelers in third, 8-1, and then the Browns in fourth at 8-9. AFC South, the Titans at first, 13-4. Colts in second, 9-8, and then I got the Jaguars and Texans tied for last with a 3-14 record. AFC East, the Bills first place, 11-6. Patriots second place, 11-6. So that could go either way. We'll get to that in a little bit. Dolphins in third at 5-12. Jets in fourth at 3-14. And then the AFC West. Chiefs first place at 13-4, the Chargers in second at 12-5, Raiders in third at 7-10, and then the Broncos at 6-11 in fourth. So so Titans would be the first seed in this prediction. Chiefs would be the second seed, Bengals would be the third, and the Bills would be the fourth. The fifth seed would be the Chargers, sixth would be the Patriots, and seventh would be the Ravens. And then it looks like the Colts and Steelers would be the first two teams out. So, taking a look at this, and this could change drastically after this week. This week's going to be a huge week for, especially the AFC North, because the Browns and Ravens are playing each other, and then the Bengals and Steelers are playing each other. So, if the Steelers win that game, the projections are going to kind of move a little bit. It's going to change. And same with the Ravens-Browns game. The outcome of that game could drastically change the standing projections. So the AFC East the AFC as a whole, the whole conference is odd. And what I mean by that is many of these divisions are still kind of unclear as to who the favorite is to win. Like the North, as mentioned. For me, it's down to the Ravens or Bengals. But I wouldn't necessarily count out the Steelers just yet, right? If the Steelers go into Cincinnati and win on Sunday, then I might say, well, wait a minute, let's take a look at the Steelers here, and maybe they have a chance. The East, it's between the Bills or Patriots, and similar to the AFC North, there's not really one team between those two. There's not one team that I say, okay, that's the team that I think is going to win, right? You ask me right now, I'm going to say, I don't know, and I truly don't know. Like the Bills have showed. Flashes of being good and shown flashes that, hey, maybe they can win this division. But then the Patriots come back and then they win a game. And then you're saying, well, wait a minute, maybe the Patriots can win this thing. Like, it's all really crazy. And there is a lot of that in the AFC this year. The AFC North included, same thing. AFC West, same thing, right? For me, it's between the Chiefs and Chargers. But after last night, the Raiders might have a sneaky run in them. I don't know. The Chargers, they started off really good. Then they lost a few games. People were saying, now, wait a minute. I don't know if the Chargers are really they're there yet. Maybe that was just a fluke that they won all those games. And the Chiefs lost, and they said, the dynasty's over in Kansas City. And then they won a few games. Now, wait a minute. The Chiefs are back. They're turning this thing around. And the Chargers are starting to win games now. So I really don't know. It's obviously between the Chiefs and Chargers. I think you can safely count out the Broncos. But the Raiders, they might have a sneaky run left in them. I don't know after last night. So, the divisions are not set as to, who the favorite is, right? The South, the Titans as of now. But, no, wait a minute. Don't count the Colts out just yet. I think that, the Titans have shown that they are not as good as what everybody may have thought they were. They go and lose. They barely beat the Saints. They lost to the Texans. They lost to the Jets earlier this year. They're not looking as good as maybe a lot of other people thought. And even last week I said this. I said, I don't know about the Saints. I don't know about the Titans. I'm not sold on them. And I look at the AFC as a whole, and I'm not really sold on anybody. You look at every team, and I've mentioned this earlier this year. that this is one of the most competitive seasons of NFL football we've ever seen. Because you look at the AFC, and there's no team where I look at and say, that's the favorite, right? Every team has their flaws, right? Tennessee, like, they're without Derrick Henry, obviously. Their defense has kind of been iffy at times. They haven't been they haven't shown to be able to really finish the deal and beat teams that they should beat. The Bengals are young and inexperienced. They're inconsistent. The Ravens can't win without needing a comeback. They're injured like crazy. The Steelers are kind of iffy. Like, I don't know what's going on there. The Bills are very inconsistent. Just when you think they're the team to beat, they go and lose. The Patriots are up and coming. Right now, they think they've won like 4 straight games or something like that. The Chiefs' defense has been, their defense has been a problem. Their offense has been shown to not really, been able to be as dominant as they've been in prior years. The Chargers are young, right? They're still learning. The Raiders are just a mess. They're a dumpster fire. They've got, issues off. They got more issues off the field than they do on the field. And yet all those teams can make a playoffs or their division title. As I said, you cannot count any one team out just yet. And there's even a few teams that maybe I didn't mention that you're saying, wait a minute, you can't count them out, just like maybe the Browns and Broncos, or, I don't know. Like, there's probably a few teams that I didn't mention where you're like, they can make a run in the AFC. So, like, again, depending on what happens this week, these projections could change a whole lot. This is just what I'm seeing, and it's just kind of what I'm getting to right now. Over to the NFC. In the NFC North, I got the Packers finishing in first place with a 14-3 record. The Vikings in second place with an 8-9 record. The Bears at 6-11, and then the Lions at 1-15-1. NFC South, I got the Bucks first place for 14-3. Panthers in second, 9-8. Saints in third, 7-10. Falcons in last, 5-12. NFC East, Cowboys in first, 13-4. That's going to change after last night. Eagles in second, 9-8. Washington in third, 7-10. And Giants in fourth at 4-13. NFC West, Cardinals in first, 14-3. Rams in second, 13-4. Niners in third, 8-9. And then the Seahawks in fourth at 6-11. So, as I said, some things changed here. So last week I had the Vikings at 6-11, and they've lost a lot. They've lost a good amount of games to this point, but they've all been close. Right? The Vikings are very much like the Lions, except the Vikings have more talent, and they've won close games, some of them. So I think the Vikings, right? Last week I had them at 6-11. Now I have them at 8-9. They play the Niners this week. That is going to be a huge game for playoff purposes, right? Because if the Vikings can win that game, which I think I have them projected to win, that'll be huge for them. And they'll have to take one against some division opponents down the stretch of the season. Where if the Niners can win that game, all of a sudden you're looking at them and you're saying, hey, with the Niners at 9-8, you're going to have a kind of a 3-way tie between them, the Panthers, and the Eagles, which is interesting because the Eagles have now played both the Niners and the Panthers. They beat the Panthers, lost to the Niners. So that is something that, maybe down the stretch of the season when both teams are in the playoff race, that's going to be an interesting thing to look at. As I mentioned, the Cowboys at 13-4, that's going to change after last night. I think, they might be 12-5 or maybe even as low as 11-6 after how bad they've been looking in the past 4 weeks, or past 4 games, I should say. I think that that's going to be a theme to look at. So, in the NFC, right? NFC North, Packers are still the best. Packers are still the best in the NFC as a total, much less the NFC North, despite losing to Minnesota last week. And to me, at least, the top 5 spots in the playoffs are pretty much locked up. Packers, Bucks, Cowboys, Cardinals, Rams. I think that's pretty much locked up at this point. Like, something crazy could happen, and they could, Cowboys could go on a slump and they could lose games that maybe they should win, like they are right now. But for me, at least, I think those 5 teams you could say are safely going to be in. Excuse me. And in my book, there's really only 4 teams left to claim the last 2 NFC wildcard spots. And I kind of touched on this earlier today. Carolina, Philly, San Francisco, and Minnesota. However, I would not count out a sneaky run from Washington or New Orleans if New Orleans gets a good quarterback and they kind of figure things out. I think you can safely count out, well, I have New Orleans in my safely count out list, but that's as of right now. If they get a good quarterback, then hey, anything can happen. But I think teams you can safely count out: Seattle, New York, Chicago, Atlanta, and Detroit. Seattle is 3-7 right now, and they have some talented pieces. They have a lot of talented pieces actually, but I think that this is just a year where the NFC West is very good. You have the Cardinals, Rams, and Niners, and there's just not I don't think there's ever really been a division where all 4 teams are really good, and I just think that the Seahawks are they're having their down year this year, and that's going to happen, but it is what it is. And between the AFC and NFC, between the 2 conferences, there are really 2 different battles going on. In the AFC, there are a lot of battles for division titles, right? There's, as I mentioned earlier, you're looking at these divisions, you're saying, I don't know who's going to win. I really don't know. It's NFC or AFC West, it's between 2 teams, right? AFC East, 2 teams, and AFC North, possibly you can say 3 or maybe even all 4 teams. I guess you could say you can make an argument for all 4 teams. And you look at those division title battles, and you're saying, I don't know. I really don't know who's going to take this one. I really don't. It's a very much so up in the air to this point. And you look at the NFC, and it's not like that. In the NFC, the divisions are pretty much taken care of, except for the NFC West. Right? You look at the NFC North, and you're saying, I think the Packers got that, right? They have that comfortably in hand. NFC South, I think you can safely say the Buccaneers have that in hand. NFC East, as of right now, I'm still comfortably saying Dallas has that in hand. But if they continue to play the way they've been playing in the past 4 weeks, I don't know, maybe that changes a little bit, but I don't know, we'll see. But again, I think that it's really, for the NFC, it's really just a matter of a wild card battle. I think teams are really at this point playing down the stretch to get in a wild card spot to this point. So it's really interesting how the 2 different conferences have 2 different kind of battles going on. And again, those are my projections and playoff seed. Before we go to break, Packers in my projection would be the 1 seed. Bucks would be the 2. Wait a minute. I got 2. I messed up here. Let me pull this up. I think Bucks are the 3, right? Yeah, Bucks are the 3. Cardinals are the 2. Cowboys are the 4. Rams would be 5th. Eagles 6th, Panthers 7th in the playoffs. So those are my projections heading into week 12. We'll see how the action plays out this week, and maybe we might see a little bit of a shakeup in the action, or in the projections going into next week.